Imagine earning tens of thousands of dollars in travel, all from rewards using the right credit cards. From premium flights on some of the world's best airlines to 5-star hotels and once-in-a-lifetime trips with family and friends, this strategy unlocked some of the most unforgettable experiences of my life. And in this video, I'll walk you through the exact steps I took to earn over 2 million points and redeem them for tens of thousands of dollars in value, plus how you can do the same no matter your level. I'll also share real-world tips and examples, and I promise you at least one of these you've never heard of. So first off, how much is 2 million points worth? And more importantly, is it worth the effort? Well, even conservatively at 1 cent per point, which is what you would get for cashing out Chase or Citi points directly, or using Capital One Venture Miles to erase travel purchases, that already puts you at $20,000 of value. If you're with Amex and you have the Schwab Platinum card, you can cash out your points at an elevated 1.1 cent per point to your Schwab account, bumping up the value slightly. And to be clear, this was earned over time, using the right credit cards and still spending within my means. So even at the most basic level, that's still a solid win. But here's the thing, it gets even better. Because in my case, I've put pretty much all of my points towards higher value redemptions through airline and hotel transfer partners. That's where the real value kicks in. Through those redemptions, I've consistently averaged over 3 cents per point, which means those 2 million points would be valued at over $60,000. And in my book, that is absolutely worth it. Alright, now that we've established that this journey is worth it, how do we actually start? First things first, get the basics right. If you're new to credit cards, your only job is to practice good habits. That means getting a card, using it responsibly, and paying your bill off in full and on time every single time. That's what sets the foundation up for a stronger credit score and everything else that follows. Once that's solid, your next step is to build up your foundation cards. Ideally, ones that earn you flexible point cards, like Chase and their Ultimate Rewards program, Amex membership reward points, Citi thank you points, and Capital One Venture Miles. These ecosystems are powerful because you're not locked into just one single use. You can cash out the points, apply them to gift cards, go through their travel portals, or in my opinion, the best way, transferring to one of the airline or hotel partners for outsized value. That's where the real value comes in, and some cards worth considering are the Capital One Quicksilver, giving you 1.5 times back on everything, the Chase Freedom Unlimited card, also offering 1.5 times on everything, among others, or the Citi Double Cash, offering a flat 2 times back on all of your spend, all with no annual fees. Yes, these cards are marketed as cashback cards, but they'll actually earn you rewards that can be used in higher value ways. But the Chase and Citi ones will actually earn you points, and the Capital One Saver can then be converted to Venture Miles, all to be used in higher value ways as long as you have one of the more premium cards we'll touch on later. That said, if I were to pick one to start off with, I would go down the Chase route, given the cash back option if you want to go that way, and having some of the stronger partners in the space, like with Hyatt. Plus their 524 rule, which states that they won't approve you for any new cards if you've had 5 or more new cards in the last 24 months of any issuer. So start the clock early. Once you have your foundation in place, your next step is to go back and look at your past few months of statements to see where your money is actually being spent. For me, it's mostly in dining and travel. For others, it might be groceries, gas, or even online retail. No matter the category, your main goal is to try and get at least 3 times points per dollar spent in those core high spend categories. For example, using the no annual fee Capital One Saver card, you will earn 3 times back on dining and groceries. The no annual fee Chase Freedom Unlimited and Freedom Flex cards will both earn you 3 times back on dining, with the Flex card offering an elevated 5 times points per dollar spent in rotating categories up to $1,500 per quarter. This one can be really useful when categories like Amazon, PayPal, or groceries hit that quarter. The Citi Custom Cash card offering 5 times back up to $500 per month on your top eligible category that month. The Amex Gold card with 4 times points on dining and groceries with some high limit restrictions. And of course, a bunch of other cards for every major category in the video above. These cards is where earning a lot of points from spend comes from. Because unlike cashback, where you may get 2 or sometimes in rare cases 3% back on everything, if you're able to earn 3 times points on most of your spend and turn them into 2 or 3 cents per point redemptions through transfer partners, you're compounding up to 9% point back in value instead. And don't underestimate the little hacks, like paying for family, picking up the group bill and then being transferred afterwards, paying for your work trip and then getting reimbursed afterwards. Those are some great ways to rack up even more points faster without spending outside of your normal habits. Now, while earning points through spend is the most consistent, the fastest way to earn a ton of points, especially early, is through welcome bonuses. Where else could you spend $500 over a 3-month period to earn 20,000 points? That's like getting 40 points per dollar on that initial spend. For earning, even if you get 3 times points per dollar, that's only 1,500 points. But that's just the beginning, because where higher welcome bonuses come into play are with premium cards. The next step in your journey after building good habits, your foundation cards, and your core multiplier cards. They do have higher annual fees, but if you actually use their credits and benefits, many of them more than pay for themselves, and that's even before counting the points. But the key thing to know is that this credit card journey is a marathon, not a sprint. I didn't earn millions of points overnight. It's been a slow grind over 7 to 8 years, with about 20 cards over that time, most of which I still have and keep today. It also includes all the spend on work trips, family, picking up group bills first, like I mentioned earlier. But with that said, let's go over an example of all the welcome bonuses you could earn over the long term. Starting with Chase, of course, let's say you go with the Chase Freedom Unlimited, Freedom Flex, and the Sapphire Preferred, the classic Chase Trifecta Trio, which will earn you 20,000 plus 20,000 after $500 of spend in the first 3 months each, and 75,000 points after spending $5,000 in the first 3 months on the Sapphire Preferred, totaling 115,000 Chase points. Then Citi, similarly with the custom cash and double cash cards, both earning you 20,000 points after spending $1,500 in the first 6 months each, and the Citi Strata Premier offering 60,000 points after qualifying purchases, totaling 100,000 Citi thank you points. The Amex Gold up to 100,000 points, and the Amex Platinum card up to 175,000 points after each of their minimum spends, totaling 275,000 points, and Capital One with both the Quicksilver and Saver cards giving you $200, or converting to 20,000 venture miles after spending $500 in the first 3 months each, and 75,000 miles after spending $4,000 in the first 3 months each on the Venture and Venture X cards, totaling 190,000 Capital One venture miles. Across all of those cards, you're looking at 680,000 points just from welcome bonuses alone. Factoring in all of the minimum spend that would be required, earning an average of 2 points per dollar spent bumps you up to about 750,000 points. Again, this is a theoretical scenario over the long run, but also does not include your day-to-day spend outside of hitting minimum spends. You could also always swap cards like the Sapphire Reserve instead of the Sapphire Preferred to earn 25,000 more points from its welcome bonus, or even include the Amex Green card before the Gold and the Platinum to earn an extra 40,000 points after the minimum spend. Now, before you go wild and apply for all of these cards, let's talk strategy. Because if you don't plan ahead, you could be leaving thousands of dollars on the table. Here are a few rules you need to know, like the Chase 524 rule we touched on earlier, how Chase limits your welcome bonus to once every 24 months or 48 months or lifetime depending on the card, Capital One with their 1 card every 6 months rule, as well as similar restrictions on the welcome bonuses, American Express and the 1 bonus per card per lifetime rule, or a hidden trap where you won't qualify for the Gold's welcome bonus if you've had the Platinum, and won't qualify for the Green if you've had the Gold or the Platinum. So the best order if you want to apply for all of them is to start down and then move your way up. And Citi with a maximum of 1 application every 8 days or 2 every 65 days. And because of all these rules is why I recommend starting with Chase, then Capital One and Citi, and sprinkling in American Express if you're targeted for those all-time high offers and if it makes sense for you. Now, if you want even more points, it's worth touching on these next cards that more people people qualify for than you might think, and that's with business cards. And before you skip this part, no, you do not need an LLC, you don't need employees, and you don't need a storefront. If you sell on eBay, flip on Marketplace, freelance, or have a side business like this YouTube channel, you may qualify, which would unlock a whole world of other cards that typically have much higher welcome bonuses, and don't count to rules like the Chase 524. For example, the no annual fee Chase Inc. Unlimited card, offering you 75,000 points after spending $6,000 in the first 3 months, or also 75,000 points on the Chase Inc. Cash, just structured differently. All the other issuers also have business cards, which are the counterparts to their main personal cards, and so if you run these type of cards in parallel with their personal cards, points can rack up real fast. Alright, that's a lot about cards, but what if I told you there's a way to earn even more points without new cards? First, what if your 10,000 points suddenly becomes 12,000 or 14,000? That's exactly what happens with transfer bonuses. You see, every month, different issuers will offer extra points when transferring to select transfer partners. For example, right now, Chase the Aeroplan has a 20% bonus. So instead of 55,000 points needed to fly West Coast to Japan in business class, you'll only need 46,000 Chase points converted over. Same trip, fewer points. Second, getting far more value for the same amount of points through stopovers. Whenever I travel far, I tend to want to include more than one location to make it worth it, which is great because many travel partners will offer an additional stopover city for little to no additional cost. For example, right now I'm planning a trip to Europe for next year. Flying Blue lets me fly from Seattle to Paris for 60,000 miles, and then from Paris to Milan for 25,000 miles. But with the free stopover rule, I can route from Seattle to Paris, then Paris to Milan, all in business class for 60,000 miles. That's basically a bonus business class flight for free. Third, you can rack up even more points for some everyday purchases. Rakuten lets you earn Amex points instead of cashback. So if a store offers 10% cashback, you could earn 10 times Amex points instead. Amex offers and Capital One offers have limited time promos with either bonus points or statement credit if you use the card in certain stores. Fourth, you can consider purchasing points, but only during times of high bonuses, especially with sales on Alaska or Aeroplan, which can be as low as like 1.2 cents per point. Given my personal point values of around 2 cents per point, in rare cases, it could be more worth it to purchase points, especially to top off. And fifth, referring friends and family. If you refer someone to the card, you can typically earn between 10 to 25,000 points per referral, up to a cap, which I'm thankful for to all of you who have done so and supported the channel. Even better, if you're in two-player mode, you can both go through this credit card journey as well as refer each other. You may also receive retention offers, especially for more premium cards if you keep your card open for another year, if you're having trouble justifying that card. Combine all these tips and you're looking at tens of thousands of more points that can make a big difference over time. Now, of course, earning points is only half the story. The other half, and honestly more exciting part, is actually using those points and making sure you're getting above that 2 to 3 cents per point value. And despite earning through credit cards over the last 7 to 8 years, it wasn't until the last 3 where I started making redemptions. Up till now, totaling around 10 different tips throughout that time, all of which are still possible today. Some of my favorite examples: my first redemption for my partner and I, transferring Chase points over to Aeroplan to book EVA business class, flying from West Coast over to Japan with a stopover in Taiwan, using Aeroplan's 5,000 points for an extra stopover rule, which in total cost me 75,000 points, plus 5,000 for the stopover, or a total of 80,000 points. But thanks to a 30% transfer bonus during that time, it only required transferring about 62,000 Chase points over. The cash fare for that flight, around $3,000, giving me a value of 4.8 cents per point. Another was treating my partner and my parents returning from Toronto for 4 people in lie flat Air Canada business class for 27,000 points each. With the flights costing around $1,000 per person, that gave me around 3.9 cents per point. Or using Capital One miles transferring to EVA to fly Singapore up to Taiwan later this year, giving me about 2.7 cents per mile. Even if you take a discount to those values, say you wouldn't pay those prices in cash, the value per point is still quite significant. So what's the actual strategy here? What's the game plan from start to finish to earn points efficiently and then turning them to some massive travel value? Build good habits, pay off your bill in full every single time, no exceptions. Get a solid set of cards covering your foundation, as well as higher multipliers in your core categories. Consider premium cards for even more points if it makes sense for your situation and when the timing is right. Maybe business cards if you qualify. And keep in mind all of the other tips with transfer bonuses, stopovers, earning more points on everyday purchases, or even purchasing points when the bonuses are right. Do all of the above day by day, year by year, and you'll be piling up a ton of valuable points you'll want to get maximum value from by following the step-by-step walkthrough with detailed examples in this video here, and I'll see you over there.